This is UBX Training, co-founded by four-time world champion boxer Danny Green. Our unique boxing and strength training offers you a full-body workout in under 45 minutes. Why boxing? Because everyone knows it gets you seriously fit, physically and mentally. It's easy to learn and anyone can do it. It's non-contact. You'll never have to step into a ring. You'll learn from an expert and you're guaranteed to have fun. The variety is endless. We use thousands of exercises and unlimited combinations. Experience a new workout every day. Our training combines bag work, one-on-one pad work, and functional strength. Science-based methods used by professional athletes adapted to your fitness level to ensure you see results. Love flexibility? We fit into your lifestyle. No class timetable means you don't have to book. You can never be late. Arrive when you want. Choose your round. Coaches guide you from start to finish. Screens display your exercises and set your heart rate target. On boxing rounds, get ready for some action-packed pad work, and on strength rounds, we'll focus on function and form. Keep going until you've completed all 12 rounds. Fist bump, you're done. Are you ready? It's time to try UBX.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special interview with Michael Jordan, CEO of 12 Round and also their international arm, UBX. Michael, great to have you here. Great to see the markets you work in reopen so successfully. We'll come to that later on, but reflecting back perhaps on the last 12 to 18 months, what word or a few words would really describe this pandemic for you?
Yeah, thanks, Ross. First of all, great to be here and you know, very exciting time to be talking again with almost all regions open and up and running, which is fantastic. Yeah, I think over the last 12 to 18 months, the sort of mantra we've had is just keep moving forward. And that sort of goes towards the fact that there's been just so many, you know, knockbacks and curveballs and you know, moments where as a group and as an individual, you've gone, oh, not again. And that, you know, you have that temporary moment and you know, especially as a franchisor, that franchisees are having those moments at those same times, but that's always temporary because there's always positive next steps you can do to improve the specific situation at the time on a micro level. So that, you know, could have been, you know, immediately working on transitioning clubs to, you know, the at-home program, working through, you know, with our you know, accounting, how we can quickly get the government subsidies in place, all that sort of stuff. And then on a macro level, I think it's actually been a hugely positive time for the industry and certainly our network in terms of innovation and product development. I think you know, the old saying, with crisis comes, you know, great opportunity. And I think the pressure of the last 18 months has fast-tracked a lot of key innovations and developments, particularly in the digital space. So, you know, overall, it's been certainly a roller coaster ride, but, you know, where we sit now, we're you know, really positive about the future.
We'll take this down a few rabbit holes later, Michael, definitely on innovation, technology and digital. Let me first start with perhaps looking at a couple of things. One is going to be member behavior, member demand. Thankfully, as you just mentioned, things are reopening. Great to see the Australian market do so. Maybe reflecting on the last couple of months, even the last couple of weeks, what are you noticing with member behavior, member demand? Have things fundamentally changed?
No, I don't think the fundamental demands or expectations have changed. I just think certain elements of those demands and expectations have increased in importance. You know, I'd say the two big ones we're seeing post-lockdown is the demand or craving for that social connection after months of isolation and lockdown. And then secondly, the increased demand in flexibility on the back end of you know, the hybrid work environments that is becoming so much more common. So there's sort of two of the big things that we're looking to continue to build on as a model. You know, I saw the Les Mills survey recently said 2/3 of members are still preferring to train with other people, which is, you know, what we're seeing with the demand post-lockdown in those clubs coming out of lockdown. The attendance rate and the reactivation and new memberships has been really fast and strong. And I think that's just on the basis of, you know, even prior to lockdowns, there was that, what they called the, you know, loneliness epidemic where, people, because there's less places in society to connect with people in a human-to-human interaction, that, gyms can become that space where they provide that social interaction in that community. So, really important as a boutique group training provider to really foster that sense of community and club. The quality and quantity of the member-to-member and member-to-coach interactions is so important, because that really is what creates the connection with your members that makes them long-term advocates of the club. And so that's really important. But I think where we're unique as a boutique group training provider is how we can meet the emerging demands of the second big emerging trend, which is that flexibility. I read in a sort of survey, and there's been many, that the change has been from 42% of people working part-time or full-time remotely to 67% here in Australia. And, there's variations of what that stat is for each region, but the fact is more people are doing it, and therefore they demand more flexibility. And in typical circumstances, a group training space is not ideal for flexibility. Your group timetable is your group timetable. So where we've originated with the model, with first and foremost having the ultimate flexibility of never having to book, you never run late for a class, you just turn up on your own time and immediately get access to a coach in that group training environment, but on your own time. We found that has been a huge value add for members, and what they're really craving at the moment and really sort of talking about at the moment is how much that fits in with their new sort of lifestyle working environment. And I think the extension of that is, as we've done over the last 18 months, building the Train on Demand app, so that there's a full service for whenever they're away from the club, they can continue their progress with their training and programming, to get that extra session or two a week in. And I think what we've seen is not, there was some talk early on that there was a risk that people were going to move away from the bricks and mortar, because people were going to adopt digital fitness as their preferred method of training. I think, if anything, it's reinforced the value of that bricks and mortar with that social environment. But absolutely, due to the digital adoption, where it is really relevant is it adds value for members getting that extra session or two to keep that momentum with their training. So that's sort of where we want to position ourselves in the market, where we're that social space where you come to try and get a great boxing strength workout, but with that ultimate flexibility. And next year we've got a third element that we're releasing in the first quarter, which is a really exciting addition to what we already provide to really cater and leapfrog the market in flexible access to our model. So they're the two big things that we feel have become more prominent than ever, that social connection and that desire for flexibility with their training.
Connection, flexibility, great messages, Michael. And I think we're also seeing that echo around some of the other conversations in the marketplace. If you can deliver those, you really are on a good way to recovering quite quickly. If you're stumbling with any of those, it's a much harder road back to where you used to be. Let's take it from the member to the franchisee. And of course, you deal with dozens and dozens of different franchisees, each with their own expectations, each with their own demands. How have you seen franchisee behaviour and expectations change through this period?
Yeah, again, I don't think the fundamental elements have changed. I just think there's, adaptation of how you deliver that support during the last 18 months. Profitability and performance is always the priority, and what that's meant during lockdown periods is trying to, work as quickly and efficiently with clubs to, minimise operational costs, access government subsidies, and importantly, activate the Train at Home programs as quickly as possible to create a cash flow positive business for that interim holding pattern before you reactivate. So that's always the first and foremost thing that any franchisor needs to address, is ensuring the profitability and performance is there. Then secondly, I think the the brand alignment and connection transferring from the bricks and mortar to create that same culture and community in the digital space. So that was an interesting transition. How do you get that same culture, banter, interaction with members while they're isolated in home? And we've worked really hard with the group and collaborated with them on ways outside of them accessing the app to have that social engagement through Facebook closed groups, through Zooms, not only workouts but social catch-ups, and continue that connection before they get back into club. So that's been an interesting new phase, which again none of us would have thought we'd have to develop, becoming experts on Zoom workouts and that sort of stuff. And then I think a thing that we've really worked on and we continue to develop is that, constructive participation and collaboration with the network, whereby we're constantly trying to get the feedback loop of, what's working, what can be improved on, but also, a peer support setup as well. So, each region not only has access to but franchisees to, have that emotional support during this last testing period. So, that's been, a really positive thing, is to see how franchisees have rallied, behind one another and really helped each other out, to get through this last period, and provided some great constructive feedback and initiatives, which we've been able to then roll out to the rest of the network. So, they're probably the three key things that we're really focused on.
Let's zoom out from member to franchisee to franchisor. You yourself, Michael, have got your own challenges to go through this pandemic, but maybe reflecting on your own business, your own self. I mean, what has this taught you as a business leader? It's not easy to be a franchisor, but of course the potential going forward, everyone can see the pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. But as a franchisor, what challenges has it provided you, and what have you learned from this last 18 months?
Yeah, I mean, running a fitness franchise business is always, an exciting challenge. There's always things you're developing and working on, and I guess that's just been, there's been some extra additions to the normal challenges you face over the last 18 months with the pandemic. But, we're still a very young team. We've had some great new talent come on board recently, and so we're really excited about, breaking some new territory with some of our developments over the coming period. But I think what we've learned, and this is prior to COVID, but certainly relevant during this period, is can be a frantic pace of development and trying to progress things forward as a business. We're in this dynamic industry and so much competition. One of the mantras we've always used in recent years is, does it simplify or amplify? And so when we're building value, there can be a risk of overcomplicating things if you try to be everything to everyone. And so we always assess, when we're building on our current product, does it simplify, the ability for our franchisees to operate, or for our members to access our services, or does it amplify our value differentiators, so that what we're renowned for in this space, we're a highly addictive boxing and strength provider that has great social culture and has ultimate flexibility, and revolves around a program designed to get fantastic results for members. Does it stay and build on that, rather than just adding things that are not what our members value, and therefore complicating the messaging, the value offering, and getting our model a bit off track. So it's always a review of that, and that meant when it's come to the digital offering that we've really scaled up over the last 18 months, those considerations are in place as well. and certainly moving forward, we just want to make sure that we build on our differentiators and keep that mantra in place. So I think that, and I mean, on a personal level, it's just, continuing to learn and develop. I think one thing that's very obvious for us is we're running two types of businesses. One's a fitness business and the other's a franchise business. And you've got to develop your skills in both of those. I think early on you somewhat focus on the fitness business, but there's certainly a deep skill set that needs to be learned with the franchising side of things as well, which is a big part of our focus at the moment.
And let's go on to digital in just 1 second, but maybe one question initially, Michael, looking at the traditional bricks and mortar part of your business. It's been quite a reflective time for the owners of bricks and mortars clubs in the last 18 months. They've had to perhaps redesign, reconceptualize, reprogram some of their facilities. What are your thoughts in terms of the traditional bricks and mortar business? How do we, perhaps make things smarter, make things more efficient? Do we have to become smaller businesses, smaller footprints to make it work economically? What are your thoughts on how we manage to continue to build bricks and mortar businesses, but do so perhaps maybe more successfully?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think that what we've found post-lockdown is that it's reinforced the popularity of bricks and mortar, because it's that place where you can get that social connection, you can get a coach leading the session. So, we're really optimistic about the future of bricks and mortar as a whole. But certainly there's considerations that need to take place. We're obviously in the boutique space, so I'll come at it from that angle. First of all, if you look at the boutique providers out there, typically they're sort of either a focus on their design layout on sort of their ambience, nightclub look and feel versus the more, performance-based, coaching environment as the two comparisons. So I think it's what you want to get out of your fit out and model, and what you want to get out of the training experience is a really important first place to start. So for us, ensuring we focus on the functionality for optimal coaching and training is the priority. But of course, still, you need to consider the lighting and the music and the vibe that your fit out creates, because as we know, that intangible aspect of the training experience is, why people pay a high dollar for your membership versus others. Obviously, the last couple of years has shown that technology is going to play a big part in fit outs and future designs. Whether it's the basic stuff from the check-ins, clubs are now paperless, to the performance tracking in club is hugely important in our space, both from heart rate technology to guiding the intensity of each round and providing coaching cues and feedback on progress during your workout. And also looking at technology, how it enhances the member-to-member and member-to-coach interaction. So, does it create competition in the club? Does it give coaches opportunity to do shout-outs? Does it give them opportunity to do extra coaching cues and elevate their coaching ability? So it's not just looking at incorporating technology for technology's sake, but how it enhances that member and coach experience. And then I'd say the extension of that, which is very prominent at the moment, which is what everyone's talking about, is that digital technology experience extends outside the bricks and mortar four walls. So no longer does your training experience stop when you leave the club. It continues beyond that. And so the bricks and mortar experience is only part of the consideration of what clubs need to consider. And then, on a sort of investment perspective, I think, to your point earlier, with boutiques, you really need to ensure you're considering the profit per square metre of your facility. Is each space optimised? For us, we're relatively small footprint. 130 to 170 square meters is ideal space. Our social reception area, our warm-up area, our training space. So we really maximize every square meter of the facility, which I think is super important when you're looking at, lowering your overheads and your break even as a business model. So not to overcapitalize on the size of the footprint with unnecessary space based on your model, I think is a key consideration. And then finally, relating that back to the CBD environment, what we consider moving forward is really looking at the residential makeup of a CBD area. I think, there's a lot of CBD areas that still have high density of residents. That gives you that stability, because as we said earlier, the matter of fact is members are doing this hybrid work environment, and that may counter their reasoning for joining a membership at a full rate if they're only in the office 2 days a week. So that is a genuine consideration which we just need to consider now as any fitness provider.
Let's look at digital fitness. You touched on it just there, Michael. Maybe I can ask this question in two parts. The first part, maybe an overarching kind of macro viewpoint on digital fitness. You obviously, coming through this pandemic yourself, had to assess different options of how to create that digital offering to your consumer. What were your thoughts initially on how you view digital fitness and where you view digital fitness going? And the second part, of course, is you decided to build training on demand, which has been such a huge success, and congratulations to you and the team for that. Really exciting. And perhaps the second part of that question will be, what purpose does it fit in? What features and benefits? So maybe looking at the macro perspective from digital fitness, and then just letting us know a little bit more about training on demand. Yeah,
great. So I guess, as we alluded to earlier, when you're building out your digital fitness experience, you need to consider what is your primary value proposition that your members have come to you in the first place for your bricks and mortar, and then ensuring that what your digital experience does is build on that and aligns with the product and the brand they love. Otherwise, there's this detachment between the offerings. If we're a boxing and strength facility that focuses on yoga and Pilates as our provider, I know that's an extreme example, but it would be a weird detachment from, continuing that experience outside of the club. And I think that the key, as many people have talked about, is you want the digital experience not to be an isolated experience, but an integrated experience. So it's connected with the bricks and mortar. So I think in terms of the primary considerations, first of all, that consistency. So for us, if you access Train on Demand, we're a boxing and strength provider. We've got super flexibility with the type of training programs you can access on the run to suit your, lifestyle and timetable. Ensuring, like in club, we look at the gamification, and that addictive components of, tracking your MyZone and your attendance and creating your leaderboard and all that sort of stuff. I think the next evolution of that, as we've seen successful brands like Strava do, is really build the digital community, so there's that interaction digitally and in club. We see that a lot with, say, MyZone leaderboards. People can track that outside of club when they come back in club. There's that rivalry that continues wherever they are. Same with, we call our attendance the fighter's journey, and tracking that and seeing how you reach your milestones, which you can monitor individually, but you sort of share that as a community in club. So there's those factors. And then, the other sort of big sort of innovation that's really prominent at the moment is connected fitness. And I think that's the next big phase of where we're heading with, beyond our Train on Demand at home packs and using our heart rate technology. We're planning some big leaps in that space next year. So it's just considering, again, that journey as a member and how the digital experience enhances that. And then I'd say secondary to those primary considerations is, adding some extra value with the other elements of wellness and fitness that they may access. So naturally, nutrition and some mindset mobility exercises is important as part of our programming. So we provide that as well, which you can't do in the bricks and mortar environment. So there's so much opportunity in that space, but it's really, important to consider how it adds to the existing value props that you have in clubs. And then, in terms of train on demand, looking back on the last 18 months, the first most important priority was urgency. We got ours out in about 48 hours after the first lockdown, a web-based app, and have naturally built on that since then. We've had over 2/3 of our members download it at some point, which I think, if you consider all the other options out there in the market, is a great testament that, they're aligned with our product and brand, and they want to continue that interaction digitally, which is what the objective is. So, it's, as I say, it's sort of looking at the train on demand, not in isolation, but how it's adding value for members, beyond the bricks and mortar. And of course, these apps as well can be a direct consumer product as well, which is certainly an avenue where we've been working with as well. But I'd say the initial uptake has naturally been, for our membership base, to give them that extra value. And importantly, we built it for post-COVID environment in the sense that it wasn't just a lockdown app. It was, an app, as we talked about, that would enhance the hybrid experience.
Now, you've been heavily invested in digital. You still are heavily investing in digital alongside the more flexible memberships. Where else, Michael, are you kind of looking across the business and trying to figure out where you can invest to strengthen the business? No business can be COVID-proof per se, but of course, you've had time to reflect to make the business stronger. Where else have you been investing?
Yeah, I've touched on a few of the places so far, but what we're really trying to do over the next 6 to 12 months is reshape the way people access a boutique training facility, in the sense that we really want to provide that ultimate flexibility for members. So part of the technology is beyond the flexibility of how you access, our coaching environment, the train on demand. Our next big release in the first half of next year is a really exciting addition that will give members additional access to our facility product and services, but integrate that with the entire member journey. So that certainly is what we want to be renowned for in the industry, is changing the way people look for training, making them question why they'd ever need to book a class again, and utilising technology to build a really seamless experience for that. And then, I guess what we talk about we're doing at the moment is a smart club evolution, and that's sort of looking at all the stakeholders, franchisees, the coaches, the members, how can we use technology to improve their experience? So there's work across the internal, our performance hub to give better data to help data-driven decisions for franchisees and simplify their operation, to the coaching experience, give them feedback on, member ratings and that sort of stuff as they, come through the club, to enable them to improve their coaching experience and provide greater performance metrics in club. And then at the member experience, of course. And beyond the flexibility piece, I think that, as I talked about it earlier, the other big space where we're moving into next year is connected fitness, and really taking it to a new exciting level beyond what we see any provider doing in the market at the moment, with what we have with our unique offering. So Yeah, I mean, to think, how far we've come in the last 3 years in technology, we're extremely excited about where we're positioned, over the coming few years as well.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Big developments coming from the group in the next 6 months. Look forward to seeing those developments, Michael, and championing those. And maybe one closing question. Of course, you've done incredibly well with the 12-round brand domestically, and you're now expanding the UBX brand internationally. Perhaps just some closing thoughts on your ambition for both those brands in the next couple of years.
Yeah, so big plans. As I say, the next 6 months, we've got those exciting new releases that will roll out across the network. And then, in terms of the growth, we're very close to reaching the 100 Club Open milestone. We've got some very exciting launches set for the UK and US next year. So really excited about that. And essentially we're by the end of 2023 aiming to double the footprint of where we're currently at the moment. And all of that really always comes back to franchisee performance and fostering a really exciting, innovative product and brand that gets members and communities excited. So yeah, we're extremely excited, and it feels like when you're at the end of a long distance race and you get that next surge of energy, and that's where we're at the moment. Everyone's had a very busy last 18 months, but that second wind is certainly there as we embark on this next exciting chapter.
Well, 100 clubs almost open, ladies and gentlemen. There's not that many fitness franchise businesses out there with 100 clubs open. So it's an incredible milestone to hit, Michael, when you hit it, and especially considering the short timeline it's been for you to hit that number. Look, congratulations for everything you've done, not just almost for the 100 clubs, getting there very quickly, but of course for the innovation, the pivoting towards training on demand. Some incredible things lie ahead. Michael, all the very best for you and the team. Look forward to seeing what happens for you in 2022. And I look forward to be part of your journey.
Great. Thanks again very much, Ross, for having us, and look forward to coming up to Singapore sooner rather than later to catch up.